I'm 79 years old, and I've been divorced for 23 years. My ex-wife is remarried now, happy from what I hear. She has grandchildren who visit her, a garden she tends every morning, a husband who sits with her on the porch in the evenings. I'm happy for her. I really am, because I'm the reason she didn't have those things with me. For 23 years, I told myself our marriage failed because we grew apart, because we wanted different things, because sometimes love just isn't enough. But I'm 79 now, and I finally understand the truth. Our marriage didn't fail because of what happened between us. It failed because of what didn't. We were married for 28 years. 28 years of sleeping in the same bed, eating at the same table, living in the same house. And I never really let her in. I thought I was a good husband. I worked hard, paid the bills, fixed things when they broke. I didn't cheat, didn't gamble, didn't drink too much. I showed up. I was there, but I wasn't present. There's a difference. It took me 2 decades alone to learn it. When I was 32, I married the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. Her name was Caroline. She had this laugh that made everyone in the room turn and smile. She was warm in a way I wasn't, open in a way I couldn't be. I thought I was lucky. I was. I just didn't know how to keep her. In the beginning, she used to ask me about my day. Really ask. She'd sit across from me at dinner and want to know what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what worried me. I'd give her the basics. Work was fine. Day was long. Nothing special. She'd try to go deeper, ask follow-up questions, try to understand, and I'd shut it down, not aggressively, just deflection, a joke, a change of subject. I'd ask about her day instead. I thought I was being considerate, letting her talk, being a good listener. What I was actually doing was building a wall. By the time I was 40, we had 2 kids, a house in the suburbs, a dog, the whole picture. From the outside, we looked perfect. Happy family, successful marriage. Inside, we were strangers who shared a mortgage. Caroline stopped asking me questions somewhere around year 12. I didn't notice when it happened. It was gradual, like watching the sunset. You don't see the exact moment the light goes out. You just look up one day and it's dark. She stopped asking what I was thinking, stopped trying to talk about us, stopped reaching for my hand when we watched TV, and I told myself it was normal. This is what marriage becomes. Comfortable, predictable, settled. I was relieved, if I'm being honest. All that emotional intensity from the early years had exhausted me. This felt easier. We had a routine. We got along. We didn't fight much. I thought that meant we were doing well. What it actually meant was that she'd given up trying to connect with me. When I was 52, something shifted. I couldn't name it at the time, but I felt it. Caroline started going out more. Book clubs, volunteering, dinners with girlfriends. She'd come home later, happier, more alive than I'd seen her in years. I was glad. I thought it was good she had hobbies, friends, a life outside our house. I didn't realize she was building a life outside our marriage. One night, she came home from dinner with friends. It was late, maybe 10:30. I was watching TV. She stood in the doorway of the living room for a long moment, just looking at me. Then she said, "Do you even like me?" I looked up, confused. "What kind of question is that? Of course I do. You're my wife." She shook her head slowly. "That's not what I asked." I didn't know how to answer, so I didn't. She went upstairs. I turned back to the TV. We never talked about it again. 3 years later, she asked for a divorce. We were eating breakfast. It was a Saturday morning. The kids were both in college by then. The house was quiet. She put down her coffee and said, "I want a divorce." Just like that. Calm. Decided. I remember feeling shocked, blindsided. We didn't fight. We got along. What was she talking about? I asked her why. She said, "Because I've been lonely for 20 years, and I don't want to be lonely anymore." I told her she wasn't alone. I was right there. I'd always been there. She looked at me with the saddest expression I've ever seen. She said, "That's the problem. You've been there, but you've never been here." I didn't understand what she meant. Not then. The divorce was civil. We split everything fairly. She got the house. I got the retirement accounts. We shared custody of the dog until he died 2 years later. We were polite, cordial even. People said we handled it maturely. What we actually did was end 28 years together with the same emotional distance we'd had the entire marriage. For the first few years after, I dated. Nothing serious. I told myself I was enjoying my freedom, rediscovering myself, all the things people say after divorce. But the truth was, I didn't know how to be in a relationship. I never had. I'd go on dates with women who wanted to talk, really talk, about feelings, about the past, about what we wanted from life. And I'd do the same thing I did with Caroline. Deflect, joke, keep it surface level. They'd all leave eventually. Same reason. You're emotionally unavailable. You won't let me in. It's like talking to a wall. I heard it so many times I started to believe it was just who I was. Some people are open, some aren't. I wasn't. That was fine, except it wasn't fine, because at 65 I stopped dating entirely. Not because I wanted to, because no one wanted to date me. And I was alone, really alone. No wife, no girlfriend, no companion, just me in a one-bedroom apartment with no one to talk to. That's when it started to hit me. I'd go entire days without having a real conversation, without anyone asking me how I was, without telling anyone what I was thinking. And it felt normal, because that's how I'd lived my entire marriage. I thought back to all those years with Caroline, all those dinners where she asked me questions and I gave one-word answers, all those nights she tried to talk about us and I changed the subject, all those moments she reached out and I pulled back. I thought I was protecting myself, keeping things simple, avoiding unnecessary drama. What I was actually doing was refusing to be known. And you can't love someone who won't let you know them. I understand that now. Caroline didn't leave me because I was a bad person. I wasn't. I provided. I was faithful. I was reliable. She left because after 28 years, she still didn't know who I was. Not really. She didn't know what scared me, what I dreamed about, what made me sad, what I hoped for. She didn't know those things because I never told her, and she got tired of living with a stranger. I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to live with me either. I'm 79 now. I haven't spoken to Caroline in over a decade. Last I heard, she's happy. She remarried about 8 years ago. A widower she met at church. They travel together, host dinners, laugh a lot apparently. I'm glad for her. She deserves that. She deserved it with me too. But I couldn't give it to her. Not because I didn't love her. I did, in my own limited way, but because I didn't know how to be vulnerable, how to share myself, how to let someone see the parts of me I kept hidden. I was raised in a generation where men didn't talk about feelings, where strength meant silence, where vulnerability was weakness. And I believed that my whole life. I believed that being a good husband meant working hard and coming home, that providing was the same as loving, that presence was the same as intimacy. I was wrong, and by the time I figured that out, it was too late. Too late to save my marriage. Too late to try again with someone else. Too late to learn how to be the kind of person someone wants to spend their life with. If you're married right now or in a relationship and your partner is trying to talk to you, really talk to you, please don't do what I did. Don't deflect. Don't joke it away. Don't change the subject. Answer the question. Tell them what you're feeling, what you're scared of, what you want, what you need. Let them in. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it feels unnecessary. I know it seems easier to just keep things light and simple. But I'm telling you from 23 years of hindsight, that's how you lose them. Not in one big dramatic moment, but slowly, quietly, over years of small withdrawals, of refused intimacy, of choosing comfort over connection. They'll stop asking eventually. They'll stop trying to reach you. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you've been living with someone who doesn't know you at all. And whose fault is that? I used to think Caroline should have tried harder, should have been more patient, should have understood that I just wasn't a talker. But why should she have to live with someone who refused to share themselves? Why should anyone? Marriage isn't just about being in the same house. It's not just about splitting bills and raising kids and showing up. It's about letting someone know you, the real you, the scared you, the hopeful you, the broken you. And I never did that. I kept Caroline at arm's length for 28 years. And then I acted surprised when she walked away. I'm 79 years old. I live alone. I have acquaintances. I have routines. I have enough money to be comfortable, but I don't have anyone who knows me. Not really. And that's the loneliest feeling in the world. Caroline knows me better than anyone, and she hasn't spoken to me in a decade, because I spent 28 years making sure she couldn't. I understand why my marriage failed now. It failed because I never let it succeed. I never gave her the real me, just the safe version, the edited version, the version that didn't require vulnerability or risk or emotional exposure. And you can't build a marriage on that. You can build a roommate situation, a partnership, a practical arrangement, but not a marriage, not a real one. If you're reading this and you recognize yourself, if you're the person who deflects, who keeps things surface level, who says, "I'm fine" when you're not, please hear me. Your partner isn't asking you to be perfect. They're asking you to be real. And if you can't do that, you'll lose them. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually. I lost Caroline 23 years ago. But really, I lost her long before that. I lost her every time I refused to answer a question honestly. Every time I changed the subject instead of sharing how I felt. Every time I chose safety over intimacy. I thought I was protecting myself. What I was actually doing was guaranteeing I'd end up alone. And here I am, 79 years old, finally understanding what I should have learned at 32. You can't love someone from behind a wall, and you can't blame them for leaving when you're the one who built it. I understand now. I just wish I'd understood then.